Want to call to order the September 3rd meeting of the Ascension Parish Council. But I'd like for everyone to please stand for the invocation given by Councilman Lohr. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, as we gather here tonight, we ask for a special blessing on the Morgan family and the Shaheen family as they mourn the loss of Tim Morgan, especially on his children, Lord, that you give them grace and comfort in this most difficult of times. We also remember, as this is National Preparedness Month coming up, we ask you to please continue to keep us safe from hurricanes and storms this season, and that everyone would be prepared. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States.
Thank you, Chris. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that all members present, except Councilman Shake Snyder, who's going to be about 5 minutes late. We have no chair's addition. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please sign in with the Secretary, and you'll be given time to speak when that item comes up. We'll move into presentations, proclamation to proclaim September 2015 as National Preparedness Month in Ascension Parish. Can we get our OEP folks up to the microphone, please? On behalf of the parish president who couldn't be here tonight, this proclamation to proclaim September 5th, 2015 as National Preparedness Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas in 2003, the Department of Homeland Security and Federal Emergency Management Agency launched the READY campaign, which is a national public service advertising campaign designed to educate and empower Americans to prepare for and respond to emergencies. And whereas the goal is to get the public involved and increase the level of basic preparedness across the nation, and whereas as part of the nationwide campaign, each year September is deemed National Preparedness Month. And whereas the theme of 2015 National Preparedness Month is Don't Wait, Communicate, Make Your Emergencies Plan Today. And whereas as part of the National Preparedness Month, local emergency management agencies team with FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security to promote preparedness locally by encouraging residents to get involved and actively educating themselves and their families on what types of hazards can affect them and how they plan and prepare for all types of emergencies. And whereas each week of September we'll focus on a different theme, including flooding, wildfires, hurricanes, and power outages leading up to National Prepare-a-thon Day, which will end the month on September 30th. Now therefore be proclaimed by Parish President Tommy Martinez, Parish President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by virtue of the authority vested in him, hereunto proclaim September 2015 as National Preparedness Month in Ascension. I'd like to yield the mic to our OEP, our award-winning OEP staff for several years, and present you with this and have a few words. You guys get it tuned up.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And the theme and the objective behind the National Preparedness Month is to focus on individual responsibility for public safety. We want to support that. So if you guys can help us promote it, if anybody that wants to develop family assistance plans, family readiness plans, we'll do that. You can contact our office at 621-8360. We'd be more than happy to assist any resident with preparing their family plans. Also, if they can follow us on Facebook. Meredith is a planning section chief, and she's going to be posting on Facebook certain themes every week through all the natural disasters that happen throughout the country. So thank you for your support, and we'll be willing to support any resident in the parish to help them prepare. Or they can come directly to our office at 828 South Irma Boulevard. We'll be more than willing to help them. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Absolutely. First is Amy Cluot Johnson. Let's have her say just a couple of words real quick. Come
Yeah, I won't be long-winded. I'm the Operations and Training Section Chief, formerly the Planning and Intel, so it's great to actually have someone else be pushing this information out, but hopefully you won't see me, because if something happens, that's kind of when I hit the ground running. But I do strongly encourage and would ask you, if you have a Facebook account, to please push out our page this week, this month, every day, share what we put on there. That's really a great medium that we can get information out to the community, not just before a storm, but during a storm, and we want them to be connected throughout the year. So we appreciate it, and we appreciate your support, as always. Thank you.
And I just wanted to introduce our new planning section chief, Meredith Conger. She's an LSU grad. Outstanding job. We've got the hazard mitigation plan. She got through that, all of our all hazards plan. Doing a great job for us. She's a good public speaker. I don't know why she didn't want to say anything right now, but.
I can't follow behind her.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all, Rick. Good job.
Appreciate you, man.
Let's take 3 seconds. Let's step up here. I'd like for all council members to join in on this. Here, you know, I'm just gonna let us know if it's wrong.
Okay, Oliver, can you move this a little bit? There we go. Todd, can you move over to the far right?
Come over here with the
You're
circuit.
left.
Come over here with the circuit.
Very good. Okay, we'll take 2 shots on 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. Chris, could you move over this way a little bit? There you go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right, that went great. Parish President's not here tonight, so I don't think he has anything that he wants to report tonight. We'll move on to the consent agenda. The chair would entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 8. Request to quote Downsville Splash Park, standalone bathroom. Ms. Shivers, we have a speaker on this, so after you give your, that's all right, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joan.
On August 18, 2015, the Purchasing Department received 3 quotes for the Donaldsonville Splash Park standalone bathroom. After review, the Ascension Parish Recreation Department and Engineering Department recommend accepting the quote submitted by Expert Maintenance and Construction Services, and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this project.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Mr. Turner. We have a speaker. Carrie?
Good evening, Councilman. Folks, this has been very good work that the council has done. My question is, what took so long? Why we had to wait so long to start doing stuff in the parish for the last 4 years? Well, my question is, don't stop doing it. Let's continue doing it. Not because things coming up, but it's because of the people. We need to start working with our people. And I hope that we start doing it. And I congratulate all of you. Tuesday is a big day for us, and I wish y'all good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Any opposition? Any discussion? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, please note that Councilman Shakespeare is present. We'll move along to agenda item number 9, authorization, Parish President Simon Martinez to negotiate acquisition of People's Water in the amount of $5.9 million.
So moved. Second.
In the negotiation, let me add to that, there are some, one would that be, we'd keep the employees for 6 months as long as they met our requirements, and that we have a $250,000 earnest money deposit. So we want to make sure that's part of the, what y'all authorizing the parish president to make that part of the
We have a
agreement.
motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Mr. Sadler?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And O'Neill, just a question goes to you. Is it like a real estate contract earnest money, meaning that if we default, they get to keep the money?
If we, right, as long as they provide us clear title. If they can't provide a clear title, then we
Then
get our
it's-
money back.
then we're still
Otherwise, yes.
protected. Okay.
Yes, it's an earnest money agreement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. Move on to agenda item number 10, authorization issuance of RFP for parish-wide sewer.
So with this, I think everybody's gotten a copy of the RFP to go out to request for a private-public partnership to get plans back to see what we can try to address with sewer on the east side of the river. I would offer an amendment to the RFP to go to 60 days from the 30 on the return of the proposals. Gotten some contact from some folks that are interested in bidding on it, and their concern is with the financial part of this and trying to get that part of it together. Their folks are telling them they need about 90 days to do it. So instead of the 30, I think it's about 32 days we actually have in the system right now, we go to 90 days, which would be required to come back on November the 9th, I believe is the correct date, which is a Monday. So I'll make that as, offer that as a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson. Who's the second? Second by Mr. Lord. Discussion? Yes. Mr. Sadler?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have respect for Chairman Johnson's amended proposal here tonight to extend the RFP announcement to 60 days. However, I have other feelings that tell me, my gut tells me that I don't think that's the best thing that we can do. The RFP was thoroughly vetted, everyone knows this, and discussed in detail by the Utilities Committee and passed out of that committee recommending to the full council tonight that we approve it as it is by a unanimous vote. And that would include, of course, Chairman Johnson, who could have maybe brought this issue up and we could have talked about it further then. We can obviously still do that tonight, but I feel like, you know, from my discussions with the parish president, word I get back from legal counsel, talking to other councilmen and so forth, that, you know, the 30 days is adequate. Why? Well, I think the biggest issue when you look at the design, bill, finance, the acronym for this program for sewer, is that the biggest issue is the financial wherewithal of any mega company that's going to come in and try to be the private partner with us. And quite frankly, all of these companies, I've been led to believe, and I've talked to lots of different engineers about this, have boilerplate type of proposals out there that they can pretty much just take a name off, put another on, and go forward. In other words, it's not going to really be an engineering problem at all. And of course, they have the ability, as the RFP says, to make anything clear. I mean, you get an RFP, I've gotten lots of them in my life, in my former life as a university professor. Sometimes I didn't even have 30 days, but you can always call the grantor and say, hey, what specifically, I'm a little confused here, what this means, whatever. But these are big boys, they play big, they play for keeps, and I think 30 days as a result with their boilerplate abilities and so forth is adequate. And then third and last but not least, I don't wish, and I'm not accusing anyone of doing this tonight, to in any way allow the public to speculate that we're politicizing this RFP by extending it to after the general election, which we all know is coming up on October 24, with qualifying just 3 different days next week. So repeating, this is sort of surprising to me. I thought we had all agreed that we could just go forward. I might also, on that first point, reiterate something else that was said when we had our discussions at the Utility Committee meeting, and that's that this can has been kicked down the road consistently since the early 1990s, when it was agreed upon by the current engineering firm that we have hired to manage this process, and our parish president, Mr. Tommy Martinez, that the only way we ever going to have this done is a public-private sewer system. I just can't see us kicking the can down the road again, even for 30 days. I think that people are counting on us tonight to be aggressive in our approach now and to identify who this partner is going to be and get on with the business of getting sewer on this, at least on the East Bank as a start. Again, point two, let's consider that the biggest thing is financial, and there are going to be some big players, and I think you're going to be surprised to see who they are. And then again, let's not politicize this event. I thank everyone for listening.
Any further discussion?
I would make a motion after the discussion is over, Mr. Chairman, to amend the amended motion, I guess, to go forward with it at 30 days. Or 30, actually, I guess you said it's 32.
You gonna wait till discussion, or are you making that?
No, I mean, let's have further discussion, but I would like you to recognize me after that, and then I'll make that motion.
We'll recognize everybody until we finish. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Dawson. I know I've had you busy this week with quite a few meetings, but you've been in quite a few meetings with this. What's the feedback you're hearing from some of the companies, or have you heard anything?
Well, I haven't heard a lot from some of the companies, but one thing that there was a couple of companies that were kind of concerned about some of the time span that it would take, not from the engineering point of view, but maybe from the financial point of view. I agree with there's some big companies. In fact, I talked to one that called me on the way over here that was definitely interested in participating, that probably had the financial arm already in place. But some of the others may or may not. And there was a couple that called and said that time span may be a little short for them to actually, not the engineering side, but just the financial partnering that would be required for the public-private partnership.
Okay.
Yes.
I may just add, and look, Benny, I trust you I talked to you earlier, man. I'm not trying to shortchange you. If you need more time, I'm with you on that. But this is a big project, and we need to have everything ready.
Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, that point of view is the timeline, and Benny one is financial. Is any kind of way we can make both parties happy? We can accept the engineering part of the RFP and then ask for financing 60? I'm just.
No.
The plan
No.
has to be proposed with the financing, so
It-
you can't.
The RFP is based on that.
Hey, look, I'm just, I'm reaching.
Understand that. Yes, Mr. Lohr.
Just a few key points I want everybody to please keep in mind when they make their decision on this vote is, first of all, this is in the $500 million range we're talking about. Second of all, this would be one of the biggest projects we've ever done. Second of all, this is something that has never been done in the state of Louisiana. So, I am fully on board with moving forward with this, but I know it's been a long road to get to this point again, but it's just in my mind, adding 30 days to make sure we can get the best bang for our taxpayers' buck and getting the most, bids in. From a competition brings out the best in people. So, that's why I supported the additional time. 30 days is not a lot when we're talking about something of this magnitude.
Yes, Mr. Shakespeare.
And I haven't spoken to anybody else in all our discussions that's against this at all. Everyone's for it. And so it's just a question about how much time we're going to have to put this process out.
Right.
And, I can see the standpoint from what Doc's talking about, what Chris is talking about. If there's questions about going a longer amount and a shorter amount, if there's any way that we can, and acquiesce to Benny, who's been involved more, to maybe split it in half and have 45 days, to have a compromise, if that's what it takes to get everybody on board. I just think we need to do whatever we need to do to get everybody on board and everybody satisfied that we're moving forward, because this is seeing this going through since the 90s, this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And We just have to make sure that everybody's comfortable and moving forward and it's gonna be okay. That's my offer. If there's some other interest in splitting that time, I would lead a motion for that, if that's the case, as we continue our discussion. And that way, we can make sure that we have enough time to do what we need to do. But, you know, we're also not gonna be wasting time, so.
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
The 45 days, Ken, the conversation I had, that they wanted 90 days, or would want to need 90 days in order to put the financials together, and so to me, the compromise was the 60. And not sure if that was there. I mean, as far as the rest of it, I'm not a financial guy, and going by the people, and looking at the proposal, and doing the 30 days, people that we talked to said that 30 days was enough. Some other folks are telling me now that it's not enough, that they need 90. And so to me, like Councilman Lohr said, and we've all iterated, this is not something we've been just starting on here. This is something we've been working on for a long time. It is a large financial, long-term commitment of the parish that we're looking at. And while I understand the sensitivity towards some of the time as far as what's going on right now, to me, the more important thing is to make sure that we have enough time to get as many proposals as people want to put in here, and also study those proposals to make sure that we make the right decision for the people that we represent. I don't think that going and adding 30 days and getting this back in the first part of November is that detrimental to what we want to do. I think it would allow us some opportunity to observe or hopefully get more bidders in that would give us the ability to compare different proposals to make sure that we get the right one and that we pick the best thing for the parish. And that's the reason for the amendment. Again, I'm not a financial guy. I'm just going by what they're telling me, and I think the compromise was the 60 days. So that's why I offered that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you again. I guess, you know, I'm not overly object at this point of the discussion to some sort of compromise, but when you talk 90 days, that almost just totally goes against my gut feeling. Any company that doesn't know right now, and it's built into the RFP, we've all read it, what the requirement is of how much money they need in liquid assets above, you know, what's just needed to do the project per se, which Mr. Lohr said is around $500 million. I've been hearing numbers closer to 300 million, but I'm not going to pick on that. But I would be concerned if a company doesn't have the financial wherewithal that they would need 90 days to figure out how they got to shift assets to do this, whatever, and then we would potentially partner with an individual like that. I'd like to see someone who comes forward that has the money, has the engineering skill sets, has everything, and I honestly believe that 32 days is adequate. So I'm going to stand tall, and if the discussion is over, Mr. Chairman, you need to just tell me and go ahead and make that,
I'll let you know.
that motion, or if you want to go further with round two, I'm all ears.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Do we have the time frames up? O'Neill, do you have that in front of you?
I don't have the RFP with me. I didn't bring it with me.
Do you have the?
And Mr. Chairman,
Well, I mean, basically what we're looking at is the timeframes that we, you know, that had been deliberated for a long time and went through the committees.
It's going to be.
And Benny, is
Yeah, right now-
this one correct or what?
If I remember correctly, yeah, that's right. The deadline for submission is on October the 19th at this point. So we're going out on the 10th. So you got where's that? Starting to advertise on the 10th of this month. So you're going from the 10th of this month to the 19th of the following month. So there's 30 days. So you're right at 39, I guess, would be
Deadline for
the number.
submission was October 19th.
Right. So, I mean, you're not adding that much time to it in reality when you start talking about it, like we
Well,
said.
you know, if
So
it
if you go to
is,
the
if
60 days.
you know, if it's an issue, I mean, you know,
October 19th.
Mr.
if
Chairman.
some of you guys were contacted by folks, you know, I don't know if you was contacted by engineering firms or financial firms, but
Yeah, just a final thought. I'll go on record and say I have not been contacted by any financial or engineering firms in this matter. But what I would like to say too is when you say the drop dead date would be the 19th of October, if we, and I have some appreciation for Kent Schexnayder's, he didn't make it as a motion, but his idea that we could compromise at 45, just to be clear, that would push it then beyond the general election, and which is something I'm opposed to, and I'm on record saying that. So again, I'm going to stay and risk my motion, which I'm now making, die for lack of second or for lack of a vote. But fellas and lady, I think it's time now to act and to show everyone we are dead serious about bringing sewer to Ascension Parish. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, and me and Kent down here talking, and Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, sir.
The question is, 60 days. We go to 60 days. Does this council vote on it, approve it?
No, that's the submission date for the process. Then we have built in from October, the way, if it was now, from October 21st or November 6th would be the evaluation by the selection committee. Then the next step would be the recommendation by the selection committee to the utility council, which we have not set a date because we don't know how long that's going to take. Then the recommendation by the utility committee to the parish council. Then we'd select sometime after that, and then we'd begin negotiations of a contract. And when that ends will depend on how long it takes to negotiate a contract. So
Either way, this council won't vote on it.
this council, even if they did it now, would not, the council would not vote for sometime after, in mid to late November. The recommendation, the evaluation proposals by the selection committee is from October 21st through November 6th.
So that would put
Current
it,
schedule.
that would put it to the end of December, if nothing goes wrong.
Yes, probably, if nothing goes wrong, but
And
that's,
as always-
it's a complicated legal contract that's gonna have to be negotiated. I've always said that I'm not gonna commit to a time period on negotiating a contract. We're gonna have to get the right contract. We've never done, this is a public-private partnership, and there's never been a design, build, finance project ever approved in the state that I know of.
And,
Yes, Mr. Schexnayder.
I'm of the opinion, and it's just my opinion, that
Your opinion counts.
this is very important for this parish. I've seen it cut down a number of times. I feel like I know what the feelings are of this body right here to move forward. And I'm very concerned that this is gonna go by to the new year without getting passed. And then it's a whole new ballgame. And the reason I say that is because I've seen it more than one time before. And once this new ball game starts, all of this starts over, and these stars that have aligned for us to get us to this point changes. And my main concern is that we're going to be looking back 5 years from now and say, boy, if they would have moved forward with this when they had an opportunity, we would have sewer in Ascension Parish. And I'm concerned that whatever delays we have is going to cause this to happen. I think we have the political will right now, which is not very easy to do, of this body, that everyone here is willing to make these hard decisions. And if we don't act on it now as quickly as possible, I don't think that opportunity, we might lose that opportunity, put it that way.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dawson, would you step to the mic for me one more time? Where we've had several sidebar conversations, things going on, so I missed something. You had it up on your iPad.
Yes, sir.
The deadline for submission of proposal
It's
As it's-
October 19th,
as it stands now.
as it stands now.
And the evaluation of proposals by selection committee
It's from October 21st through November 6th. That's the
Okay.
time for evaluation.
All right, that's a 2-week evaluation period. So at any point past, right now, as it stands, it wouldn't be coming in front of either utilities or the parish council any sooner than November the 6th.
It will not.
Okay.
Because after we do that, we have to set the actual selection committee. The selection committee meets, scores their scores, and then, you know, that process takes maybe another week or so in order for the actual selection.
No, but basically November 6th, it's going to be,
It's going to be after that.
November 6th, the selection committee should be able to present something, their findings to the council, okay? I mean, if we've got a time frame, I mean, there's no problem calling a special meeting. You know, that's
Right.
not the biggest deal in the world, all right? So if we add 30 days to that we might as well say December the 6th, right? Before we get it in front of us,
Yes.
or the ability to put it in front of us. I just
Yes.
want to make that very clear to everybody that's up here.
So it's over.
And, you know, I mean, at that point, to Kent's point and Doc's point, that we'll have some lamed up folks. By all means, you know. Yes, Mr. Turner, thank you, Kent.
I tend
Thank
to agree
Mr.
with,
Turner.
I tend to agree with Councilman Shake's night on this as far as being able to do it in 45 days. So you have to look at the size of these companies that will be doing this program or submitting bids. You know, they're large companies with teams of lawyers who, if need be, could probably have this proposal done by the next day. So I'm with Councilman Shake's night in saying I think we can do this in 45 days as a compromise between Mr. Johnson and Councilman Savage.
And 45 will just put us, it's coming to us on,
2 weeks later.
the first availability for us to call a meeting after the evaluation, add 15 to it, would be November the 20th,
Let's see.
right?
So if we say November, we're getting it back on October 19th.
You got it. It's November the 6th, November the 20th, basically. All right?
Yeah, it'd be about the 3rd or the 4th of November.
Yeah, just to be clear, O'Neill, so if we accept this, I don't know where we are now, amended motion for 45 days. Actually, there's only one, I think, that's on the floor, Mr. Chairman, and I'm sure you're keeping track of that.
Yes, indeed.
Am I understanding that this council, even though we will be moving the date back to 45 from 32, will still make a final decision? It's a guaranteed thing before the first of the year in which a new council will be sworn in. What Kent didn't say, and I have great appreciation, it was an excellent point he made, is that there are, I guess, 5 of us, or maybe 6, and myself included, and then, of course, you don't know what's going to happen next week at qualifying, whose seats are up for grabs. And I in no way am confident of what they will decide if we leave this up in the air to them to make that decision, as opposed to we make this decision now. I've never seen this council shy. I don't need to remind people of that. And
Yes.
to make decisions, Randy's saying, don't give the specifics, and out of respect for Chairman Kluat, I will not. But shy to make a decision while we're all still gathered here. I do detect, as Kent said, and others tonight, I think Travis sort of alluded to that too. I think there's a will among this group to go forward with this public-private partnership. And I just want to be sure it happens and not to where that decision-making process could once again be foiled, and we wait, Lord knows how much longer, to have sewer and get that much further behind in our infrastructure and have that many more hundreds of millions of dollars we're going to have to spend. So, O'Neill, you're saying that
What's the question?
we will, this council be able to make a final decision if we accept Mr. Schexnayder's idea of 45 days?
Yes.
The time frame on making an acceptance and making it, it's going to be you will choose the person to do it. Okay. whether a contract ever comes to pass will be whether, what the terms of the agreement can be worked out, because it's still gonna have to meet the muster of that. I can't tell you that I can promise there'll be a contract.
That's what I'm
that
asking,
meets-
though. I understand. I'm just asking, we would make a choice, though, and say, this
all would make a
contractor
choice. Right.
gets the public-private partnership job.
Right, it's gonna be whichever one, you would make the choice of which one it would be,
Okay,
yes.
then, Mr. Chairman, I could likely support, if it hadn't been offered as a motion, Ken, if you want to make that,
I'd
or?
like to make that as a motion for 45 days. I think that would be a sufficient compromise.
Then we have an amended motion by Councilman Shake Snyder to have the period extended from 30 to 45 days, with a second by Councilman Sadler, or Councilman Turner. That's you, Travis?
Yeah.
You with that? Okay. Councilman Turner,
Discussion.
any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Johnson?
So, to O'Neill's point, if we left this where it is, or we added the 60 days to it, or the 45, this council, we're looking at it coming back on November the 9th if we went to the 60 days. We're talking 3 weeks for the,
November the 6th, I think. Pretty close.
hang on, let me get my calendar back up.
Ninth.
So if we look at November the 9th is when that would come back. If you look at 3 weeks for the committee to review it and grade it and get it back to us would be for the first meeting in December. So this council will still vote on
it's
it.
coming to us from the committee on the 6th of November.
But
For the
listen,
council, be presented to the council.
understand the time frame, though. What I'm saying, if you add the 60 days to it, you're getting it back on the 9th. The committee has,
No.
the grading committee, yeah, if you add 60 days to it, the date for the return is November the 9th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it comes,
That's correct.
so it comes back, the RFPs are submitted on the 9th to the administration. The committee starts reviewing it there. It comes back to us the 1st of December. So the committee's still gonna get, I mean, this council will still get to vote on that. You run it, goes through the, Utilities Committee. If we gotta call a special meeting to do that, to get it to the council for the first meeting or the second meeting in December, that can happen. As far as the contract is concerned, even if you got it back on the 19th of October, there's still a chance, probably a pretty good chance. Last time we did this, it was several months in negotiation for the contract. So if you're more than a month, and even with 30 or 45 days, if you're more than a month on the contract negotiation, this council's still not gonna see that contract. So you're not gonna get the contract, even though we'll pick the company that we wanna go with, you still may or may not get a contract. More than likely, this council will not get a contract till after the first of the year.
And-
So approved for the administration to sign. So I understand the motion and wanting to get this done, because believe me, I agree with all of you guys, and I appreciate the support and the effort that we put into this. And to me, the most important thing is to make sure we get it right, and that we get a few more bidders in this thing if possible, to where we can compare and get a better product at the end. If the majority's will is to do 45, I'm okay with that. But again, conversations that I had, they wanted 90. And I thought 60 would be from 30 to 90, 60's in the middle. So that's why I've offered the 60 days. And that's my thoughts on it. So whatever this body wants to do, I'm okay with. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, Ms. Cazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a $300 to $500 million project.
Can't hear you.
This is a $300 to $500 million project. You can't buy a house in 45 days. We need to give every firm available the opportunity to pull together the financial arm, the engineering arm, form. I'm sure that it's necessary for them to form partnerships, depending on who they would want to partner with. These are things that take a considerable length of time to accomplish. This is a long-term project. While I too share the concern that we see this come to some kind of resolution under this council, it is more important to me that it be done correctly, that the proper due diligence is done, and that we have ample choices for our selection committee so that we get the best possible deal for the citizens of this parish who are going to live under this decision for the rest of our lives here and for generations to come. So while I appreciate what everyone has said, I would be comfortable with a 60-day period, and I'll come back as many times as is necessary in November and December to get this thing done.
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler.
Okay, I'm going to take one glove off. This council, I've served on it like everyone else for 3.5 years, closer to 4 now. And so yearly I have seen us not have meetings at Christmas time. I hear talk here tonight about special meetings. Heck, here's the glove off. We had a utility committee meeting, the one before the one where we just recommended as council that we proceed with what's in front of all of us and that we've been studying, the 32 days, and we didn't even have a quorum. There was me, and Mr. Joseph there, and I won't out my colleagues, but that's a fact. I personally would come back, as Ms. Castro said, if I had to. I'd rather not. I'm sure most of us would agree we'd rather spend some time with our family. So, in the interest of compromise, again, I've already indicated, and it's been made as a motion second, that I would support the 45, but I do not want to see 60, and I definitely don't want to see 90 days. Now, who's this going to affect? One more glove. Primarily, my district, District 7, and District 8, better known as the 70769 zip code in Prairieville. Now, the other councilmen leading those districts may be willing to tell their voters, because they're part of the group I just mentioned that are going to be involved in the re-election process, that they were for a delay for all the reasons they gave. I'm not willing to do that. My guys fully expect, in fact, they expected 30 days. So it'll be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm comforted by what Mr. Parrington said. We can still make the final decision up to a point, O'Neill, and not have the next group come in. I still support what Kent Scheck-Snyder and Travis Turner have put in the form of a motion and second. 45 days.
Any further discussion? Mr. Malone.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, I don't think we should rush this thing just to get before an election when we've already, I mean, it's already been made clear, no matter what, we're not going to make a decision on someone before an election. I think to give that little bit of extra time to make sure that we get the best information, we get the best quotes, the best deals come in, to make sure that we can compare them against each other and really have the best deal for the parish and the citizens of the parish. To me, it's not that big of a deal to really, I mean, for an extra 21, 30 days to make sure we get the best deal for every one of the citizens, I think is important.
Any further discussion? Mr. Scheck-Snyder.
Either way, I'm for it. You know, I mean, I'm just trying to get it done. And I'm in construction. And basically what it comes down to, you give me 60 days, I'll get it in 60 days. You give me 30 days, I'll get it in 30. If you put out there that it was 7 days, these people that are going to participate in this pretty much have their organization set up. They pretty much have their finances. They know who to make a phone call to. They've been reading the paper. They've been looking up on the internet. They know Ascension Parish is doing a sewer project. They know what the RFP's been the last few years, and they're not coming into this blind, and they're going to do their due diligence to have an opportunity. If I thought for 1 second for us to change the amount of time that we would shortchange the people of Ascension Parish and get an opportunity to get a better person, I would make it 120 days. But I just don't think in a realistic time that that's going to happen. And then the other thing that I'm afraid of is we're getting to the holidays and we're a governmental body, and I have yet to see many things go on as scheduled. So we are in a rush. I think we have a small window of time to make this opportunity happen for the people of the parish, and I want to wait I'm willing to compromise for 45 days. I'm ready to go in 2 weeks. But,
Here.
but, I still like to keep that as a motion.
All right, I want to thank everybody for the dignified deliberation. I just want to clear up the final thing, is no matter what date it's in, it's when it comes back to us, one thing that, our council, Mr. Carrington, alluded to is that when it comes back to us for a vote, it's going to be based on the committee. But when we're going to send it back to the administration to negotiate the contract. That truly does take time. Benny expanded on that. Whether the wishes of the council or the 45 days or the 60 is that we will have, and as your chairman, I'm going to tell you this, I have every intention of when it does get out of selection committee, calling a meeting, okay, for it to come forward. We've all worked long and hard on this, all right? So I might have to have y'all stocking there for Christmas or whatever it takes, or a turkey for Thanksgiving, but we will move it forward, and then we'll give it to the administration to clean it up. And I just want to recap that the original motion was to change the original resolution from 30 days to 60 days, and there was a second on it. Through deliberation, we've had an alternate motion to change it from 30 days to 45 days. And we have a second on that, and that is the motion on the floor right now. Do we have any more discussion? Any opposition to the 45 days?
Roll call.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Casso.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman Lure.
No.
Councilman Melanson.
No.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
The no votes have it, and the amended motion has failed. We'll go back to the original motion, which is to change the time frame from 30 days to 60 days.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Lure.
Yes.
Councilman Melanson.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Real quick, O'Neill, if we can recap the day that we possibly looking, or CAO Dawson, the day we should be looking at this to, for it to come back on a 60 days and go to the selection committee for evaluation, and then having a return to us.
November the 9th is the date that, if we counted it correctly, that it should come back to the administration. All the proposal deadlines should be November the 9th.
Right.
That's when, but then it's got to go to the selection committee.
Selection committee should-
committee right after that. The ninth is on a.
It's a Monday.
It's on a Monday, so we can have the selection committee, available to receive the proposals right after that. Just take a couple of days to receive and distribute it to the selection
Right.
committee.
So if you went to the selection, if you got them on November the 9th,
11th or the 12th would be the,
and they would be to the selection committee by the 12th,
Yes.
then when can we
We
have them?
had a 2-week time frame for evaluation,
26th.
so 26th, which it will be Thanksgiving. So, we'll look at
30th.
Do we need 2
the
weeks?
30th. We could push for the 30th. We could just have it November 30th. We'll have the results in from the selection committee.
What's your day of the week of that, Benny?
That's a Monday.
That's a Monday.
Monday.
November 30th, Monday?
and you
And then
can,
that's good, and we could probably plan on having a meeting there. I'm not gonna make that, not wrap a gavel on that, but, so we basically looking at getting this back to us for our review.
Yeah.
And I would like my fellow council members to possibly look at our normal procedures that we go through the Utilities Committee with Chairman Johnson and Doc and the rest of you guys and Chris and all, on something like this that's gonna be deliberated in depth and is also gonna turn right around and come to the full council. We may wanna select to just go, have a special meeting to come to the full council. Yes, Mr. Malone.
And can we make sure that we get, around the time that the selection committee's getting theirs, that we could all get those full packets so we have a little extra time to review? I think that would be good.
Yes, the administration can make that available to us, the packages.
Mr. Chairman,
We just, what we can have public is, it's just basically some certain parts of it, yes. Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Johnson.
what I would ask from Mr. Parrington and the administration is that make sure that we understand our process going forward, and if there's any timeframes that we have to meet for certain things, we'll have a conversation about that to make sure that, we know exactly what our dates are for these things, so we can have our meetings preset, and so we can move this thing in as quick as possible once we get those things back and have them reviewed. If we can make sure we know where we're going with it.
I would ask the administration to take this new set of timeframes and review it with council and Parish President Martinez, and just that one page, at least the timeframes, have that distributed, and Cinnamon, our administrative manager, can do that, distribute it to the council, that those dates are in our minds, and, and keep it up. Once again, I want to compliment this council on very, very respectful deliberation. Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 11, approval of design agreement between the Army Corps of Engineers, New Orleans District, and the Parish of Ascension for the planning and design of environmental infrastructure improvements in the parish in the amount of $167,000. Mr. Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something you're familiar with. We did the same thing when we paid a match of $167,000 for about $500,000 worth of design. We did it with the ACUD number 1. We were looking at connecting to the Assumption water line. We're going to move forward with another design package because they're familiar with it. They've already done the Assumption side, so the connection should be at least simplified in their mind because they're so familiar with our systems. This is what this allows us to do.
We have a motion by Mr. Lambert right here.
Mr. Joseph.
Second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 12, introduction of ordinance 1505, revisions of the Unified Land Development Code, section 17-2090, administration and enforcement or amendments. Zoning Commission recommendation approval of this revision to accept it or not.
This ordinance can be introduced. This is just within the overlay. This is just to follow the overlay rules.
Right.
Motion to accept the commission's recommendation to accept.
We have a motion by Mr. Lohr.
Second.
You could also make a motion to introduce the ordinance is what I'm suggesting.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We have a motion to introduce by Mr. Lohr, second by Mr. Joseph. Motion's introduced.
It's a motion.
Ordinance introduced. We'll move on to agenda item number 13, reading of ordinance revision to section 17-5013B in appendix 5 of the parish of the Unified Land Development Code pertaining to the design criteria of drainage, impact studies, providing an expiration date. Mr. Parrington.
The purpose of this ordinance is to revise the language of section 17-5013 in appendix 5 of the drainage regulations Unified Land Development Code is to add an expiration date to approve drainage impact studies. Whereas Ascension Parish local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution 1974, whereas the parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body within the jurisdiction, whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish, adopted May 4th, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and whereas the code was incorporated as Appendix 5 drainage regulations of the parish Unified Land Development Code adopted October 2nd, 2014. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that Section 17-5013 in Appendix 5 Unified Land Development Code is hereby amended as follows. These changes are adopted as follows. See attached Appendix 5, Section 17-5013B, Exhibit 1. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits are Appendix 5, Section 17-5013. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion up for public hearing by Mr. Johnson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr.
Second.
Johnson. Second by Ms. Cazzo.
Move the ordinance, Mr.
We have a motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Lohr. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 16, discussion of pending litigation, Mark Saison versus Ascension Parish lawsuit number 111-185C. Madam Secretary, we need a vote to move to executive session. Roll
Councilwoman
call.
Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Lohr.
Yes.
Councilman Melanson.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
We will be adjourned to executive session. The chair would entertain a motion on agenda item number 16.
I make the motion to authorize legal counsel to extend a settlement offer to the plaintiff in this matter.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Turner, second by Mr. Shake Snyder. Everybody agree? We're good. All right, before we move on to agenda item number 17, I want to thank our police department. Mr. Bo, Mr. Richard, appreciate you. We appreciate the staff that hangs in with us and all the administration folks through our deliberations, our production folks, and the people that work here, Yogi and the bunch that set up everything to where we can have a good, comfortable meeting here. Mr. Shake Snyder, got some parting shots?
Yes, real quick. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their prayers and consideration for my aunt that passed away this week, and Sister Mary DeMontfort. And you don't need to pray for her. She's been in heaven. She's been there a long time. You need to pray for us that's still here. But we want to thank everybody. Family wants to thank everybody for the thoughts and prayers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Without further ado,
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
motion adjourned by Mr. Todd Lambert. Second by Mr. Brian Melanson. We are adjourned.